Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Our webinar will begin shortly. And while we wait for everyone to join us, please feel free to put in the chat where you're joining us from. We always love to see where people are joining us from across the globe. Thank you, Catherine and Beth, for kicking us off.
Awesome. Yeah, hearts going out to everyone in California, out in LA.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for that ad. A lot of love for California. Ooh, this is amazing.
If you have any questions for our speaker today, we encourage you to ask those questions. But as you can see, the chat moves really, really quickly. So please put any questions that you would like answered in the Q&A, which is located at the bottom of your screen, and we'll make sure to get to those questions at the end of our presentation today. Again, welcome. Good day and hello. Welcome back to our event, HRCI Insights. These are insights that provide insights on current HR services, developments, and technologies. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have a couple of housekeeping items before I introduce our speaker. This is an interactive session, so please use the chat box to talk amongst yourselves. Tell us where you're tuning in from. And also the chat is a great way to expand your professional network and to learn from each other. We just ask that you follow two rules. One, please limit your LinkedIn profile shares to 2 to 3 times. And also, we kindly ask that you ensure to keep all comments professional and respectful. Any bad actors will be ejected. And again, if you have any questions for our speaker today, please remember to use that Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. Also, we want HRCI Insights to be accessible to everyone, so we have closed captioning running. If you do not need this resource, please click on Show Captions across the bottom of your screen and then choose caption options to hide subtitles. If you are new to HRCI, we welcome you. If you're a returning attendee, we're so happy to see you again. We are honored that you have joined us for the third day of HRCI Insights 2025, and we always encourage you to bring a friend next time, whether they are certified or not. My name is Megan Hayes. I'm the Director of Corporate Sponsorships here at HRCI. Today's topic is Don't Just Survive HR Again, Thrive in 25 with 5 powerful mental health must-haves. And I have to admit, I'm a little tongue-tied today because I'm so excited to introduce Catherine Fry. She is going to rock today's webinar. She's an award-winning burnout coach, recognized as the best burnout coach in the United States in 2024 by Best of Best Review. As the founder of Marble Peak Consulting, HR Empower Hour, weekly empowerment for local leaders, and the Refresh app, Catherine has revolutionized HR education with 24/7 SHRM HRCI recertification workshops and self-guided coaching tools. She currently serves as the president of Elevate HR, a leading recertification provider, and co-hosts the Thrive and Shine HR podcast, where her dynamic insights inspire professionals globally. After 25 years as an HR executive, Catherine transformed her burnout and challenges with pay discrimination, anxiety, and a near-death experience in a mission to help others beat burnout without breaking the bank. A sought-after speaker and educator, Catherine delivers weekly virtual workshops and travels nationwide to empower HR chapters and local organizations. In 2024, her Ditch the PIP workshop went viral, reaching over 5,000 HR professionals in partnership with HRCI. Known for her innovative HR coach approach, Catherine's sessions are praised for the transformative impact, with clients often declaring, "You've changed my life." Beyond her professional endeavors, Catherine is an ultra runner, skier, and mountain biker who finds balance in nature alongside her partner, Brett. Her trademarked ethos method, combining meditation and movement, fuels her unwavering vision to empower women worldwide, solidifying her as a trailblazer in HR and coaching. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Catherine, who will take it from here. Thank you so much for joining us.
I mean, I don't even know what to say after that. That brought tears to my eyes, especially knowing all that I have gone through to get where I am today. So I just want to reiterate and say welcome to everyone. I'm so happy that you have taken the time for yourself today. This is huge. We are going to dive into 5 essential mental must-haves for HR success. And if you want to know just why I'm actually qualified to know about 5 essential must-haves for HR professionals, as Megan said, I've been in HR since 1997. I am 5,000 years old. I have been in HR spanning 4 different decades. I started out as an HR manager at the age of 21 years old. 21. At the age of 25, I developed an autoimmune disease. It was directly correlated to my high levels of stress that I developed just over the 4 years I had been in HR, right? I continued, obviously, that push, 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 go, 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 high achieving mentality, kept wanting to do more, kept wanting to be better, all those types of things. 9/11 happened. The Great Recession happened 2007, 2008. I laid off hundreds of people I had personally hired. I took an organization global. There was a lot of stress with that. I decided that was not where I wanted to go. I decided to come back to my community, work in the public sector in HR for the first time. I was the first ever HR director. And guess what? My stress followed me. It followed me from a global corporate environment down to a local municipality. My insomnia permeated all of those years. In my 40s, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. When I say that I was suffering from my mental health habits, I was suffering. And I don't want that for anybody else. So check this out. These pictures are from my backyard in Colorado. As Megan said, I'm a huge skier, but what you don't see from these photos is this is the day 4 years ago that I blew out my ACL. And I was absolutely required to take a step back from work. And I'm so glad I did, because when I blew my ACL, my very first thought was, thank God. That's how burned out I was in HR. Thank God. I was so happy to have blown my ACL because I knew it was just another whisper from the universe saying, you got to change your life. You are not going in the right direction. You cannot continue to be this freaking stressed out. So that's why I'm here today. If you are experiencing insane amounts of stress, if you are suffering with your mental health, if you are even burned out, right? Burnout's the result of compounded unmanaged stress. I can help, and I can help today. So Megan nailed it. Here are all the things that I do. It was last spring that I taught Ditch the Pip here in HRCI. So everybody who's on this call today, you will get a 7-day free access to my app. And I just want to note right now, if you want to know how to ditch the pip, write this down. Workshop 18. That's all you have to write down. Just remember workshop 18. There's a replay of Ditch the Pip. If you are tired of PIPs not working, if they are stressing you out, stressing the employee out, stressing your managers out, there's a reason why. And Weed Leap is the antidote to PIPs that don't work. So let's keep going. We've already talked about who I am. I don't want to look at that slide anymore because I want to talk about you. I want you, let's use the chat. All of my weekly workshops, I teach weekly workshops that provide HRCI credits every single Tuesday. Like clockwork, I've been doing this since October 3rd of 2023. So they're always very interactive. I want to hear from you right now in the chat. Why'd you choose HR? Because I'm an incredible mentor, servant leader. I love helping people, the people dynamics. Look at all this. Yes, to help, to help, to help, to help. Yes, to make a difference. Yes, look at all of this. I'm tearing up. This is why we got into HR. And if we are stressed out, we cannot do the thing that we came to do in HR. Jacqueline's saying out of spite, that is making me laugh. Out of spite, probably because I'm going to take a guess. I'm not putting words in Jacqueline's mouth. Oftentimes people go into HR because they had such a bad HR experience. That is exactly why we're here today, because if other employees are having bad HR experiences with other organizations, that makes our job harder. We must elevate ourselves individually. We must elevate as a profession. All right. Well, that's why I'm here today. I'm here to help elevate the profession. Next question. Why are you here today? Why are you here today? at a webinar, taking an hour out of your time to focus on your mental health. I'm interested, I want to learn, I'm stressed, I want to grow, I want to help myself, I want to be burnout, all the things. I'm curious. Woo, I'm curious too. Interesting you brought up that word. Yes. So no right or wrong. I just want to mention before we start, why ever you are here is right for you. Don't worry about why other people are here, because we all come in different shapes and sizes, literally. Some of us are VPs. Some of us are CHROs. Some of us have been in the profession for a day. Some of us have been in the profession since the beginning of time, right? So allow yourself to absorb this information. Take what works for you, ditch what doesn't, but take what works for you. And I want to reiterate what Megan said. I would love everyone to right now go ahead and drop your LinkedIn information in the chat. Let's do it. Let's connect. This is so important. We must rise up together. And the way we do that is through connection. It's coming together in webinars like this, and it's connecting with one another in platforms such as LinkedIn. All right, let's go ahead and do it. And I invite you right now to get rid of all distractions, meaning if you've got your door open, if you've got your phone on, if you've got multiple tabs going, if you're trying to work on emails as you are trying to really absorb the information, chances are it's not going to happen, and here's why. Only 2% of the population, the global population, can actually multitask. And if you think you're part of that 2%, you may be, but chances are you're not. Chances are you've just been pinging from single task to single task. You just ping back and forth, and you are stressing your own brain and body out, and I don't want that for you. So if you have one takeaway from today, that could be it. Try experimenting with single tasking, one thing at a time, just one. All right, let's keep using the chat. Again, we promised a very interactive experience today. Take a stab at the percent of HR professionals who experienced burnout in 2024. 85%, 80%, 43, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Keep going. Yes. What's your guess? Look at all these high numbers. You guys are cracking me up. We know each other. We know each other, right? Here it is. It's 98%. Now, what disturbs me about this is 3 years ago, there was a study that was done that quoted 86% of HR professionals were burned out. We're now up to 98. This is according to WorkVivo. And I know why. And today you're going to learn why we've trended in the wrong direction. Here's another frightening statistic. 44% of US workers experienced burnout in 2024. One half, I'm just going to round up to 50 because I'm turning 50 this year. One half of your workforce is burned out. The reason things are not working, the reason we're not beating our burnout is because we've been going about things the same way we always have. We have inherited some habitual practices in HR that don't work. I'm going to teach you what does work. All right, one more question. What percentage of humans do you think abandon their New Year's resolutions by today? By today. I've got to scroll down. I've got to catch up in this chat. Okay, super high. Yes, y'all are nailing it. Y'all are absolutely nailing it. Okay. Here is the actual percentage. There's a day called Quitter's Day. There's a day called Quitter's Day, and it actually just happened on Friday. So here's why we get New Year's resolutions wrong. P.S. Why so many organizations and HR professionals get goal setting wrong. Organizational goal setting, individual goal setting, New Year's resolutions, it's all the same thing. Hear me out on this. With New Year's resolutions, we start the new year off telling ourselves, if we in fact are part of the 80% who quit by today, right? We have a narrative in our mind that sounds something like this. I couldn't do it. I quit. I don't know how to do it. This is called disempowered thinking. And our thoughts over time become beliefs that we don't even see as just thoughts. This leads to a disempowered state. In my case, this led to a diagnosis of anxiety. I had an anxiety diagnosis, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago now, okay? What's even worse is people who quit ahead of time. Here's what that sounds like. I've tried to do New Year's resolutions in the past and I can't keep them. So I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try this year. If any of this sounds familiar, you're kicking off the new year with disempowered thoughts. And your thoughts inform everything in your life. We're going to talk about that today. So we wonder why our mental health is in the toilet, right? We wonder. And it's because when it comes to resolutions and goals, we rely on motivation. But motivation doesn't work. I want you to think about this right now. When you are looking for that motivation to get out of bed and stop scrolling, when you're looking for that motivation to finally start reviewing all those applications that came in over the weekend or start working through your email, that motivation generally is not there when you need it. We have been told it's our role in HR to motivate others, to teach other managers how to motivate others. Motivation doesn't work. This is why we are so burned out in HR. We take on everybody else's responsibility. We think it's our job to motivate everybody else, and motivation doesn't work. We'll talk about what does work. But what I promised today were our 5 essential absolute mental health must-haves that you probably haven't heard about. You may have, but you probably haven't. And here's how I know you probably haven't. I went to my friend ChatGPT and was like, tell me the top 10 ways to get over burnout and to upgrade your mental health. And here are the eight of the top 10 that I came up with. Look at these. They're rooted in motivation. So ChatGPT comes from all of the best practices that are out there. This doesn't work. Before we dive into the 5, I want you to get honest with yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, and I want you to put this in the chat just as I have over here. This is my example. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being could not be worse, 10 being could not be better, I want you to rank over here. Here's where I am today. Here's where I want to be. And this was me when I was absolutely burned out in HR. Okay. I was a 1. It could not have been worse. I was happy to have torn my ACL. That's how burned out I was. I was like, yes, I get to go on FMLA. I get to go have surgery. That's how burned out I was. I was a 1 and I wanted to get to a 7. Now, today, as I sit here today before you, I am an 8 and I want to get to a 9. Now, I'm being very honest with you because I'm always very vulnerable when I do these types of things. I have had a pretty significant family struggle in the last year, and yet my mental health has been an 8 and I want to get to a 9, which means the roadmap I will put together today myself as I go through these 5 mental must-haves, they're going to be very different action steps than if I was a 1 like I was 7 years ago, wanting to get to a 7. So the very first thing you have to do right now is get really honest with where you are right now with your mental health. Because everybody else in the chat is putting, hey, I'm an 8, I'm a 9. Don't do that if you're a 1. Don't do that if you're a 4. Get really honest with where you are because your roadmap is going to look different. It's going to look different in every way. Anyway, because even fraternal twins are wired differently. We are all different humans. So here we go. Here's number 1. Amber's asking, what if you have no idea where you're at? So Amber, let's go back. And if anyone else has this question, if you have no idea where you are on the scale, chances are you can't even come up with a number because your mental health is not great, because you're so stressed out, because you don't have the tools to get over that stress. I don't even know. Now I'm taking a guess. I'm trying not to put words in your mouth, but if you don't know, it's okay. Let's just dive into the top 5 mental must-haves. Okay, you will get something out of today, I promise. The antidote, the best news ever, is that inspiration is the antidote to motivation. Bear with me here. Motivation is garbage. Here's why motivation is garbage. Motivation is short-lived and it comes from fear. Inspiration is long-lived and it comes from empowerment and it comes from having a deep understanding and a clarity about what we do want. I'm going to give 3 examples right now using my Fry formula. Okay. This translates from New Year's resolutions and also goal setting that we do in our organizations. Oftentimes we have a goal, but we don't go far enough. We have a goal, we have that forward focus. We don't think about the result And we don't think about the why it's so important for us. The necessary skill to utilize the Fry formula to understand inspiration is to develop your skill of curiosity. We're going to talk a lot about curiosity today. But let me get back to some examples to really drive this point home. Why inspiration? Why getting crystal clear on what you truly do want is key. So here's what I normally hear when I ask this question of my clients, right? I do one-on-one coaching. I do HR and Power Hour. I am helping HR professionals from dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn, dawn to dusk, every single day, right? And when I ask this question, what do you want? What do you want to be experiencing in your career? Here's what I hear people say. I don't want to be burned out anymore. I don't want to be stressed out anymore. I don't want to work for this narcissist. I don't want to work for this micromanager. I've had it. I've tried different jobs. I cannot figure this out. I just don't want that anymore. If any of this sounds familiar, you've done nothing wrong. It's your brain operating from judgment. Your brain is hardwired for judgment. So when I ask the question of my clients again, I let them get that all out, right? Get it out of your body, get it out of your system. I ask the question again. Great, I'm so clear on what you don't want, but what do you want? So what do you want? I want peace. I want to be calm. I want to have an impact. I want to help people. Do you hear the difference? Big difference. So let me keep going with this. Very first thing, you have to understand inspiration and you have to be very clear on where you want to go. Here's an example. It's dry January. I want to stop drinking, right? I want to stop drinking. I want to quit. This is over here. This is in the disempowered thinking bucket versus, okay, that's a great shitty first draft, as Brene Brown would say. I want to stop drinking. Cool. But what do you actually want? I want to have a clear mind so I feel amazing every day. So I can show up as the best version of myself in HR and really be fully present for people without having any of that brain fog from being the slightest bit hungover, right? So check this out. It's elevating our thoughts from I want to stop drinking to I have a clear mind. That's the forward focus right here. FRY. This is the Fry formula. First step, what's your forward focus? I want to stop drinking. I want to have a clear mind. I want to have a clear mind. What is your goal, right? What's the result of having a clear mind? I get to show up in a new empowered way for the people I work with. Why is this important? Because I went into HR and help people. That is the legacy I'm going to leave on this planet. Woo! When we get to the deep part of our why, when we get crystal clear on what we do want, whether it's a New Year's resolution or whether it's a goal, whether it's your goal in HR, whether it's a personal goal, it doesn't matter. So here's how this translates into, like, that's the New Year's resolution side of it. I want to give a work example of this too. Okay. I want to give a very, very specific example that I actually had. I worked with a coaching client just a couple of days ago, and my coaching client really had stuck in her head, right? Because this is what was listed as her goal for work. It is my job in 2025 to reduce voluntary turnover. It's my job to reduce voluntary turnover. Okay, that was her SFD. That was coming from fear. That's her disempowered thought. Believe it or not, that's disempowered. And I'll explain why. I have to reduce voluntary turnover. None of us have to do anything. We get to, this is the quick upgrade using the Fry formula. We eventually narrowed down her forward focus of, I want to increase retention. I want to increase the retention of top talent. I want to increase the retention of top talent. How different is that from I have to reduce voluntary turnover. I get to increase retention of top talent. That's her forward focus. Totally changed her whole demeanor as we were talking about this. Then here's my next question for her. Well, what's the result? Why is it so important to increase the retention of top talent? I get to create more connection amongst employees. There's more reliability, there's more trust, there's more engagement. That's the result of absolutely retaining top talent. And then I asked her the third and final part of the Fry formula. Why is that so important? because this is why I went into HR. This is what the profession means to me. Okay, so this is a 3-step formula you can use on yourself. It's super impactful. And we covered gaining clarity, looking ahead, getting very clear as we move forward. Now, here's number 2. It's the foundation. These are what I call thought upgrades. Okay, now I had a very, very powerful video I wanted to show on something called neuroplasticity. If you've never heard of neuroplasticity, please look me up on LinkedIn. Joe, I don't know if you have my LinkedIn information, but if you do, if you could throw it in the chat, that'd be great. But look me up on LinkedIn. Yesterday, I posted the video because I want you to take the time for yourself and really understand neuroplasticity. If you've ever truly thought you cannot change as a human being, you can't change who you are, you think you're wired very negatively, you can't stop all of these stress, the negative thoughts that you're having, you can. It's been scientifically proven. It's very recent. It's only been in like the last 2 decades. So a lot of people who've been in the workplace longer than the last 2 decades aren't aware of this. And they continue to say, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can. It's been proven. So here's my question for you. So check out that video. But here's my question for you as we're diving into the second mental health must-have. What was your very first thought when you woke up in the morning? Get really honest with yourself. Don't compare and despair with anybody else going on. What was your very first thought? Look at Jennifer with all that honesty. Oh, I want to sleep more. Yes, this is exactly what most of my clients say. I'm exhausted. I don't want to get up. What the hell? I'm running late. I need coffee. Thank you for your honesty. You're making me tear up because our thoughts matter. And I want you to pay attention to this very closely because I don't have a graphic. Our thoughts inform our feelings inform our behaviors inform our results. You have done nothing wrong. No one has ever taught you this before. I didn't learn this until I actually went to coaching school. And it blew my mind in the most empowering way. I'm going to say it again. Our thoughts inform our feelings inform our behaviors, and our behaviors inform our results. So I want to give you a quick thought upgrade, a quick hack today before we get into number 3. If you had the thought of like, I don't have time for this, that's one that comes up for me, and maybe not in the morning. But the reason why, sorry, let me back up. The reason why I asked about this morning is the thoughts you choose in the morning will impact your entire day. They will. How you start your day matters. How you start your year matters. Now, if you have a technique like the ethos method, this is my personal technique. If you have a technique to choose thought upgrades throughout the day, awesome. I teach all of my clients my ethos method. We are not going to have time for it today. But I want you to apply one of 2 words, if it works, hopefully it works, to the end of the sentence you threw in the chat. I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up unless I finish the sentence. I don't want to get up unless I get that first cup of coffee, right? We can upgrade our thoughts. Here's another one. I don't have time for this. This is one that I used to say all the time in HR. I don't have time for this. If someone knocked on my door and said, hey, do you have 5 minutes? I mean, 9 times out of 10, 1 time out of 10, I'd be like in a very cool, calm, collected state. 9 times out of 10, my thought was, do you really think I have 5 minutes? I have 600,000 things to do. I'm quadruple booked. I have a million things happening right now. I don't have time for this. The thought upgrade is, I don't have time for this yet. That's the tiniest shift, but it gets us out of complete disempowered thinking. I don't have time for this yet. It moves the needle for those of us who are so stuck, we don't even know the first way to get unstuck. If you want to take immediate action, I usually add the word unless. I can't do it unless, I can't get out of bed unless I put 1 foot on the ground, unless I use Mel Robbins' approach, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 1, I count backwards from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I get up. Okay? These small thought upgrades are what we're looking for. Just one example. There's so much more to managing our minds. Our power, the greatest HR tool we have is right here. It's understanding our brain. It's understanding that we have the power to choose our thoughts, and our thoughts will be true for us 100% of the time. So choose wisely. Choose wisely. Okay. If you are going to take advantage of the 7 days free in my app, write this down. Workshop number 15. Workshop number 15. It's called Yes, We Can. And I go into great detail about the difference between disempowered thoughts and empowered thoughts. And I actually taught I went to, I think it was the SHRM Maryland conference last year. No, excuse me, it was Tennessee. And I did a whole presentation on thought intelligence, which is the unknown precursor to emotional intelligence. A version of that workshop is also in the app. And I want you to have that. I want you to get access to it, which is why I'm offering everybody on this call 7 days free in the app. I want you to start thinking better so you feel better, so you behave better, and you achieve those results that you deeply desire. This one, I'm sure people are like, what in the heck? What is number 3? What do you mean ask, don't tell? Ask, don't tell. Oftentimes in HR, we feel as though it's our job to educate people on policy. It's our job to tell people to get to work on time. And here it is again. When we tell people, we're motivating them. Here's what I mean by this. Most often in HR, we direct people, and here's what it sounds like. You need to get to work on time. I really don't want you to lose your job. I need you to get to work on time. We need you here. You're a huge asset to the team. We need you here. I need you to get on time. That is directing, and that's telling. Here's a step up, right? And that's very motivating. It's fear-based. It's short-term. Will your employees show up to work if you say something like, going the old PIP route, I need you here. I need you to fix this behavior by this date and time, or we may be looking at alternatives up to and including termination, right? Just classic HR language. We've got to step away from that classic HR language because it's doing nothing for our mental health. It's doing nothing for the mental health of the employee and the manager. It doesn't work. We're thinking that motivation is going to get everybody to where they need to be, and it doesn't work. What works is coaching. I'm just going to go up here right away. What works is coaching. Coaching is rooted and requires the mastery of the skill of curiosity. Here's what coaching sounds like. Why is it so important for you to get to work on time? Walk me through that. Here's what employees have said to me when I've asked that, when I've served in an HR consulting role in the last couple of years, after I learned the skills of coaching and I mastered that skill of curiosity. People say to me, I got to get here on time because my kids, I have to put food on the table and I want my kids to go to college. That's why. Okay, tell me why it's important for your kids to go to college. Well, it's important for me for my kids to go to college because I never had that opportunity. And I want that opportunity for my kids because that's the legacy. That's what's most important for me, to my kids to have more than I've ever had. And I'm tearing up again, thinking about that exact conversation I had with somebody just a couple years ago. And when that employee understood his own personal why, it wasn't me coming in saying, you got to get here on time. It was him really drilling down and understanding his deepest why he must show up to work on time. He's inspired to show up to work on time for his kids. Now, here's the difference. I don't have kids. So my why of showing up to work on time, my inspired why, through somebody asking me why it's important for me to show up to work on time, is entirely different. My why is to help HR professionals beat burnout and find fulfillment. I want every one of you to feel fulfilled, to feel freedom, and it is possible. And really understanding the difference between coaching, advising, and directing is instrumental. We must learn the art of asking in HR. Here's what advice sounds like, because I know I skipped right over this. Advice sounds like, well, here's what I do. you and I kind of live in the same neighborhood. So I recommend you take the back roads versus the main road to work in the morning because there's usually less traffic. Oh, and I also set my alarm up on the other side of my room and it helps me get out of bed and stop scrolling in the morning. So that's what I would do. Is that well intentioned? Yes, but we are advising. You're actually making it about you. You're well intended, but you're making it about you. And then when the employee is motivated, shows up to work, takes your advice for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it keeps happening, right? You feel bad. You think it's your fault in HR because you tell yourself you are responsible for motivating employees. You're responsible for getting them to be there on time. You're not. You got to let go of the reins. And the way you let go of the reins, the way you reduce your stress is by developing your skill of curiosity. It is everything. It is a game changer. It eliminates all that rumination, all that insomnia, because you're not trying to stress yourself out over the time, what ifing yourself to death. That is what so many of us in HR do. We what if ourselves to death. What if the person doesn't show up? What if this is the final offer? We have no other candidates. What if they turn it down? Oh my God, I have to do a workplace investigation tomorrow. What if I say the wrong thing? I'm up for promotion. What if I don't nail the interview? We what if ourselves to death. You can what if yourself to life. When you notice you're choosing disempowered thoughts such as what ifing yourself to death, you can also what if yourself to life. We do that through thought upgrades. That was number 2. Okay, but let's dive into number 4. Let's dive into number 4. Question for everybody. Let's use the chat again. If you had more time, how would you spend it? There have been like 500 posts since I last scrolled down with my kids, sleep, relaxing, gym, travel, with my daughter, sharing, family, vacation, all caps, love it. Yes, sleep, gym, family, grandkids. Woo! Yes. And how do we usually, if we're being really honest with ourselves, how do we usually spend our evenings, mornings? Let's just do work days. How do we spend them? And what about weekends? And what about vacation? When you're on vacation and your boss calls and says, hey, I know I told you to take the whole week off, but I just need you to do this one thing, right? How we respond to that versus react to that is everything. I'm going to talk about that. But I have a couple more questions. This was me, okay? This was me just even, I don't know, 5 years ago. If somebody would walk into the office and waltz in like they had all the time in the world, I would get so mad. I'm just being super honest. I would get so mad. I would get so angry, so frustrated. I'd be like, man, I got in here at 7 o'clock. I work 12-hour days in HR. I'm busy all the time. This person just waltzes in. I can see salary, so I know they're getting paid more than me. That's just a bunch of crap. How can they just do that? But what was actually lying underneath that was I was very envious. And the thing about time management, and people come to me all the time, I need you to help me with time management. Y'all, we can't manage time. We all have 24 hours in a day. How we think about those 24 hours is the difference. I've already talked about single tasking. We're not going to be able to get into all of these. They're in the app. If you want to know different techniques of how to quote unquote manage time, there are some suggestions in there. But here is what I want to talk about right now. Dr. Jill Taylor is a neuroscientist at Harvard, and her study has proven that it takes our brain 90 seconds to process any emotion. And it's the thoughts we choose after those 90 seconds that either disempower us or empower us. Okay? So let's say you are on vacation and your boss emails you and says, hey, I just need you to do one thing. You will not be able to control your emotional response for those first 90 seconds. Don't beat yourself up. And also, know this about your employees when they are freaking out in your office. They can't control that initial emotional response. Please let it go for 90 seconds. Allow it. Let people process it. Allow yourself to feel that emotion. after the 90 seconds, it's the thoughts you choose. Are they empowering thoughts or are they disempowering thoughts? This is not toxic positivity. Here's a possible empowered thought. Okay, my boss wants me to do this thing. I know it's going to take me 5 minutes. I can either just get it done so that I can go on with my vacation, or maybe I go do the thing that I'm committed to doing with my family, and then I come back tonight and do the thing for 5 minutes. That is empowered thinking. We're not talking about toxic positivity. Being all the way over here, oh, it's no problem that my boss emailed me on vacation. I love my job. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about thought upgrades. And I just want to bring Dr. Jill Taylor up under the bucket of time management, because this is the most powerful mental must-have that I came across. When I started understanding, okay, I'm super anxious, right? I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. I'm super anxious. I'm going to feel all the feels. I'm going to allow that anxiety to like fester up in my body. But then what thoughts am I choosing? Am I choosing, you know, the technique that works for you? You put on a belt. This is what I actually do when I'm having a panic attack. I put on a belt and I breathe. And for some reason, breathing against that belt reminds me, it brings me back to the present, and it reminds me that I'm human, that I know how to control and bring myself back to homeostasis through my breath. I've never read that in any book about dealing with panic attacks. I had to go through a series of experiments to figure out what worked for me in my panic attacks. Okay. And we'll talk about experimentation. It's through the caps, and we get into that in just a little bit. All right. Here's the fifth and final mental must have. Do you know the difference between victimhood, and victim mentality? Anybody know this? Go ahead and throw it in the chat if you know this. Yeah, by the way, I'm just seeing Samantha's thought upgrade. I love that. I love TED. Lisa loves TED. Yes, this is a book by David Emerald. It's called The Power of TED. This book changed my life. Get it? I do not know David. I'm not sponsored by him. This book changed my life. This book changes my clients' lives. Okay. We don't even see that we are stuck in victim mentality. We don't see it if we're in it. Here's an example of victim mentality. My boss is such a narcissist, and we always talk about what he wants to talk about as opposed to what we need to talk about. That's victim mentality. You're taking your power away by blaming and shaming your boss's narcissism. That is unhealthy for you. That's unhealthy for your boss. And that is victim mentality. I can't do anything about it. Okay, well, are you using that as an empowered thought or a disempowered thought? Give that one some thought. Here's another one I hear all the time. Micromanagers, right? He's such a micromanager. He's always going to be a micromanager. We are suffering when we choose that thought, and we're putting somebody else in a box. That is unhealthy. That is a victim mentality. Now, if this is hard for you to hear, if you bristle at this, it just means we've hit on something that's very important for you. If you're bristling, you're like, oh, that's not me. Oh, that, it probably is, and that's okay. What we resist persists. So if we continue to tell ourselves, I don't have victim mentality, chances are you do, and that's why you're struggling with your mental health. I hear this one all the time. I heard this one from a client in Southern Colorado who's a little bit older than I am. She's mid-50s, and she said at least once a day, I just got triggered. I just got triggered. My boss just triggered me. The board of directors just triggered me. And she swirled in that victim mentality because she gave her power to everyone else. And how you take that power back, at least how I take that power back, anytime I am triggered, right? I was very honest that I've been through a really, really hellacious time with my family, my blood family in the last year. I still get triggered. But guess what? When I get triggered, here's my thought. Thank you. I'm so glad I got triggered. I'm glad I got triggered because I know I have more work to do on all that has happened with my family. And on the other side of all that work is freedom. is freedom from all of those disempowered thoughts. So when I get triggered, right? I just flew home to Cincinnati. I was with my parents. There were things all over the house that were triggering for me. And I was like, oh, there it is. Okay, I've got some more work to do. I didn't make it mean, oh my God, I'm never going to get past this. This is horrible. My family's horrible. I don't go there. And if I do go there, I catch it very quickly and I choose another thought, such as, I am here. I flew halfway across the country to spend time with my parents because they are aging and I want them to know how much I love them and I want to experience their love. And that's what I focus on. That goes back to number one. Are you crystal clear on what you do want? And on that flight and trip home to Cincinnati, I wanted to just love all over my parents. Now, I know there's been a lot of questions in the chat, thought upgrades, all the things we've talked about today. Okay, those are my 5 mental must-haves that have worked for me, that have worked for my clients. And here's what I offer you today. Everybody here, you're going to get 7 days free to my app. I actually created an app because I feel so passionately about the thought upgrades, the thought work that I do every single day to take myself and ensure I am in empowered thinking. Okay. And again, not toxic positivity. I had a client just yesterday in HR Empower Hour say, and I'm going to pop forward a little bit. She said yesterday, okay, Kath, like here we are. I want to delegate more. She's very high up. She's been in HR. She says from the beginning of time, she's just hilarious, right? She and I have been in HR spanning 4 different decades. And she said, I'm going to delegate. I'm going to delegate more. I know I need to. I know I need to hold on. I hold on to things. I need to delegate more. Guess what happened? She had an employee who lost their life over the weekend. And this was a Tuesday. So she had started, check the screen out. She had started delegating. She was feeling really good about it. Then she had someone pass away. So guess what? She's going to put all of her energy toward helping that family, right? Providing all the love and information she possibly can to that family. HR is not easy, but it can be less stressful by the thoughts we do choose. So she said, you know what? I'm going to take this on. So she's back down here, right? She's back down here, not delegating. But once she is over that acute stress, there's 3 different types of stress. Acute stress comes from isolated incidences, right? She had 1 employee pass away. Now, I've had 5 employees pass away in 5 years, but each time it is technically acute stress, okay? So she then, eventually, this client of mine will say, okay, I'm ready to try again. And then something else will happen. I'm ready to try again. Something else will happen, so on and so forth. But check this out. Eventually, her worst case scenario, her worst day of delegating will be better than her best day of delegating. We have to keep trying. We have to keep applying different methodologies. Children, going back to coaching, children learn by mimicking. If you reflect back on when you were a kid, maybe you're out on the soccer field, maybe you're watching your kids play soccer or learn a sport. Kids learn by mimicking, by watching, and by repeating. Adults learn differently. Our adult learning techniques, we have to learn and apply, and it has to be done in short spurts. It's called micro learning and it's called micro steps, which is why every single workshop I lead every Tuesday live ends with a customized action plan. So here are the 3 questions I want you to answer for yourself right now before I talk a little bit about the app, okay? I want you to answer this question for yourself. Feel free to put it in the chat. Feel free to write it down. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever's going to work best for you. Why is my improved mental health important to me and to others? And you may not have, if you're the type of person who writes long essays like I do, you may not be able to get through all of this, right? But jot these questions down. Second one, what's going to be the result? What's beyond the why? What's going to be the result when I achieve improved mental health? And the third one, what action will I take as my first step toward improved mental health? Because without action, nothing changes. This is what I despise about self-help books, okay? Self-help books, in my mind, end up being shelf-help books because there's no application of the information. This is also what I struggle with conferences in HR. Just come and clean with this one. You spend so much time prepping, so much time there. You get behind in your emails. It's a very anxious experience. You get excited, you get inspired, but then you get back to the office, you get back to reality. You don't freaking have time to implement anything because your plate's already full. Your plate's already full, which is exactly why I created the app. Okay. So within the app, let me just explain this really, really quickly. There are 50 do-it-yourself coaching modules that will take you from disempowered thinking to empowered thinking. The section of the app is called Shift. Somebody in the chat asked, well, how do I do this thought upgrade? There are 50, not 5, 50 different modules, different coaching sequences in the app under a section called Shift that will help you do this, okay? There's a second section of the app called Lab, and Lab is where you do experiments on your mind and your body. Again, these are coaching sequences, okay? So this isn't going to be telling you what you need to do. All you have to do is answer questions that will get you to where you want to go. You just have to answer the questions. It's very simple. And in Shift and Lab, those are 3 minutes each. That's it. It's like do-it-yourself coaching. It's like having me in your back pocket, essentially. And when you need it, it can be in the middle of the night, it can be weekends, it's available 24/7 in the app, just like anything is in the app. Here's the other thing that's in the app, okay? I have been leading a weekly workshop we record live every Tuesday, kind of like this, where I introduce a new tool, we discuss it amongst the empowered HR professionals who are there live at the time of recording. Then each of the attendees completes a customized action plan, answers questions so that they're off and running with a new experiment to try on the tool, right? So all of those have been preserved in the app since we started doing HR Empower Hour back in 2023. So for every single workshop that you complete, watching the replays that are already in the app, you will receive 1.25 HRCI recertification credits. Right now, currently, there's slightly more than 70 PDCs because I've been doing this every single week. Can you imagine doing thought work every single week and how far you go? So powerful. So we're not stopping. We're going. We're continuing. I'm continuing to provide elevated topics, elevated tools, and we're continuing to build this resource of workshops available 24/7 for HR professionals all over the world. So every single Tuesday, like clockwork, if you'd like to join us live this coming Tuesday, it is part of your 7-day free trial. And then on Thursdays, like clockwork, at noon Mountain Time, so 2 o'clock Eastern, I actually teach coaching approaches, coaching methodologies. And this is brand new for this year, because you're engaging, because you will either be coached or you're going to witness somebody else be coached. I am going to then at the very end teach the coaching methodologies. Remember, tell versus ask? I will teach you how to master your skill of curiosity so you can start to inspire yourself, inspire your employees. I'm going to teach you those methods every single Thursday like clockwork. Now, this is not recorded. That one's not recorded. These are all recorded and available 24/7. And if anyone on this call is thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get in, I want to work with this person, I want to be surrounded by people who don't bitch and moan. I want to be surrounded by people who are working on their thoughts, who are empowered, who are trying new tools, who understand inspiration, right? You can join for a month. The cost, it's all right here. I think Joe has the links. If you could drop those in the chat, that'd be great. But if you're like, I don't want to fully commit to a year, I don't want to go all in on myself, I want to test drive it, then there's an opportunity for a 6-month membership as well. Last but not least, truly, if you learn to refresh your thoughts, you can refresh your career and you can refresh your life. Woo! That was a lot, Megan.
That was awesome. I just said it to all my team. I'm like, if you are not on the webinar today, you better go watch this. Great way to start the new year.
Well, and you know I love your team. I mean, everybody, including Amy. I love that you are woman-led. I think Amy is one of the most outstanding women I've ever met. For those of you who don't know, HRCI CEO, she is just an incredible human being. And I'm just so glad that you all get to work together because I love everybody at HRCI. You know that.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah.
We are running a little bit out of
Yeah,
time, but I do want to get to some of the questions. Before
great.
we do, just a friendly reminder, all of the resources that Catherine mentioned are located in the resources tab. So you can find all the links to the app, all the links to the newsletter, all the links to her coaching, everything is under resources. We will send out a recording to you within the next 24 hours. So you can share this with colleagues, watch it again, and it will be live for the next 30 days, or excuse me, it'll be available for the next 30 days in the
Yeah.
lobby that you joined the webinar on. And also just finally, if you would like to talk with Catherine more, please click yes to that final poll question and we'll get you connected with her. So
Yeah.
let's jump into some of the questions.
Yes.
We had a question that came in really early. Do you have any recommendations for certified mental health training for HR professionals for people located outside the US?
I
Or
don't
can
off the top of my head. However, here's my email. Listen, I'm all over all the socials. However, the best way to get a hold of me is through my email. Please shoot me that email and I will find resources for you. You have my word.
excellent, perfect. During one-on-ones with employees, is it politically correct to ask them how mentally healthy they are and how mentally healthy they want to be?
I would say I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, it depends. It depends on your relationship with that employee. What I would ask, it's very simple. What do you want? What do you want to be experiencing? And they will tell you where their mental health is by their answer. If they say, I don't know, I don't know anymore. I feel like I've tried everything. They are stuck in deficit-based thinking, DBT, also known as disempowered thinking. You don't have to ask. Their answer is going to give you the information you need to decide what steps to take from there.
Excellent, perfect. You mentioned stepping away from old HR language, which can also mean stepping away from outdated thinking. Can you suggest ways to influence HR leaders to make this progressive change?
I think going with step number 3 and asking. Ask it. Well, it's kind of a combination of 2 and 3. So it's helping those other HR professionals identify what they want to be experiencing. Nobody wants to be archaic HR. I don't know of anyone who wants to be archaic, right? But just asking the question, what do you want? And again, start with asking, don't go with anything other than facts. That's another thing we didn't have time to talk about today. Oftentimes, we think we know somebody so well based on how they have showed up in the past. We are making assumptions about those people and we are not allowing for the space that they could change. Now, we cannot change what people say or think in this lifetime. We can't do that for other people. However, we can show up differently. And when we show up differently, when we start to ask questions versus tell, when we start to say, why is it so important for us to be innovative and on the front end of HR, to be leaders in this industry? Why is that so important for us? Start there.
Perfect, love it.
Yeah.
I love this next question. Does mental health improve as you age, or is it the reverse? What can be done to improve or sustain your resilience as you age? Love
Okay.
that question.
So, oh gosh, I need to answer this in a million different ways. The answer is it depends on your thoughts. Because you will have anywhere, somewhere around 30,000 thoughts a day. And what we think is that we can't control them, right? What you can do is just notice when you're having disempowered thoughts. And please don't beat yourself up. You must look at those thoughts with compassion and say, okay, I've been thinking this way for so long that I believe it to be true. What else could be possible? Now, I've been doing this for 4 years, so I can do it very quickly. It takes time to learn these skills, and it's worth it. So I left the 9 to 5 HR, 9 to 5 world of HR at 45 years old. And I have a program called HR 2.0 for people who want to not necessarily take a step back in their career. They want to make sure the second half of their career is the better half. And that all comes down to the thoughts that we do choose. So to answer the question, it's a choice. And you get to decide if the second half is going to be your better half. All comes down to, we think about the glass ceiling. We think about, there's only so much we can do in this lifetime. yes, women have advanced so much in the last 40 years, but we haven't advanced as far as we want. Guess what? Guess what that thought is? It's called sticky floor. Our thoughts keep us stuck. Who says we can't absolutely crush it in 2025? If you're telling yourself that, that's going to be true. If you tell yourself, oh, yeah, I get what she's saying.
Mhm.
And if you need some help to do the thought work, that's why I want you to come into the app. And by the way, to get the app, I can't believe I didn't say this. Go to your browser right now, type in refresh.passion.io and create an account. And Joe, if you wouldn't mind dropping that in the chat, it's kind of an important part. That's how you get the 7-day free trial. So Joe either has a link or just open your browser, type in refresh.passion.io. You can also do this through Apple, Google Play we're working on. But yeah, you can go through those entities as well. Sorry,
That
Megan,
was,
keep going.
that's okay. That was one of the questions that we had is, can you access through the App Store? And you can with Apple, but you're working on Google Play. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, talk about something that could have been very disempowering, the conversations I've been having with Google the last couple of days. It's why I actually love having what's called a native app. I know many of you probably don't have apps, but when you have a native app, it's always there on a web platform. And you can, if you don't know how to use this, whether you're an Apple or an Android user, you can take the app, the web platform, and put it on your home screen. So it's just like any other app. It's just called a native app. But yes,
Excellent.
technically you can.
Well, their feedback has been amazing from our attendees. We thank all of our attendees who joined us across the globe. There are some questions still left in the Q&A. I will share those with you, Catherine, so you can follow up. And then
Great, please do.
and those of you who have not had, if you have additional questions, I saw requests for speaking engagements. I saw requests for more information. Please email Catherine
Please.
for more information. And that's research activity ID for today is 692206. Again, 692206. And it's been approved for 1 HR credit towards recertification. Catherine, you crushed it. Thank you so much for today's webinar. I am so
My
inspired.
pleasure.
You rock. Can't wait to see
My
you
pleasure.
in the upcoming.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.